Hello, minions! I have a important training video for you today. This one's a big one. I'm gonna call this the Idiot's Guide to Vendor Events. Not that you're the idiot. I'm the idiot. These are my thoughts on vendor events. So I was making notes through the whole event of do's and don'ts. If nothing else, that event was great to let me train you on events. Because now at least I kind of know what the deal is. Alright, so I'll go back and forth, do's and don'ts. Be flexible. This is huge. I am the kind of person that likes to know exactly what I try and plan as much as possible. I read, I stress, I prep big time. There's a certain amount of prep you can't do for vendor events. You don't know your location, you don't know the crowd. There's a lot outside of your control. So it was driving me crazy not being able to prep for everything, but you can't. There are just certain things that you can't know. So you need to be flexible. You need to look at the day, look at the crowd, look at the traffic, look at your location, and kind of change it up. If something's not working, try something else. And this kind of, one of my other do's is experiment, and they kind of go together. If you feel like no one's talking to you, try something different. Try and be a little more in their face. Try and be a little more outside of their face. Maybe try leading with a different question. If you were planning on really focusing on junior sample and the kids, and there are no kids there, obviously you're going to have to figure out something different. Try something new. I did a lot of that while I was there because I didn't know what I was doing, and I really wanted it to go well. So I was like, well, if this doesn't go well and you're just standing here, you can't blame it on anybody but yourself. So I gave some things a try. I went and I tried being really pushy. I went right up to people in line and kind of shoved my survey slip in their face. It didn't work well. So I tried something new. And then by like the second or third day, I really kind of got my groove. And kind of figured out what my strategy was for this particular event. Now, it didn't always work because the traffic was not always on my side with certain things, or sometimes the line went by me, sometimes it didn't. So be flexible and experiment. If something is not working, try something different. If you're there for 3 hours, try a different strategy every hour. I mean, if it's working, if whatever you're doing is working, obviously stick with it. But try up new things. Don't talk about style box, talk about indulgence one hour or something. Maybe stress junior samples 1 hour. Mix it up. See what catches attention. Alright, so those are 2 do's. Be flexible and experiment. Do not sit behind your booth. Do not wait for people to come to you. There were like maybe 5 or 6 vendors at this thing. I by far had the most traffic. And I was the only one not sitting behind my booth. There were a couple Tupperware the Tupperware ladies were switching off. Well, everyone was switching off. I was the only crazy person that did the whole thing. But there were a couple Tupperware ladies that switched off, and they did not sit behind their booth, and they did very well when they were there. But all those people that just sat behind their booth and waited for people to come up to them, they did not do well. I can promise you they did not make their money back on this event. I can even promise you that they don't have a lot of raffle slips or contacts because people didn't go up to them. They didn't even really notice them because they were just sitting there on their phone. Do not sit behind your booth. If you're doing a marathon event like I did, where it's going to be a 50-hour event, eventually maybe bring your chair in front of your booth, but do not sit behind your booth and play on your phone, because you will essentially be wasting your money by doing the event. All right, so that's a don't. Don't sit behind your booth and play on your phone, because it's a waste of time. Let's see. Do get as much information as you can. Vendor events are not, most of them are not really sales driven. The ones around the holidays are more so, because people are getting Christmas presents. But mostly they're for contacts and, trying to get parties and things. You're not going to sell a ton of inventory at most events. As I said, around the holidays, it's very different. But, so you need to get people's info so that you can get those contacts. You can get contact info. So you want to do a raffle. A raffle is like essential, because you need their info, and most people are not going to get their info unless they're going to get something for it. So, do a raffle, even if it's just for like a free sheet. Put it with a couple accent sheets and put it in like a cute little tiny basket or something. Make it look pretty from the dollar store. And then get those contact info tearaway pads, or you can find some on the dashboard that you can print out. They have them on the dashboard that you can print out under marketing materials, I think, or documents. I think it's under marketing materials. We just did a quiz on it. I should know the answer. And get everyone's contact info. I kept having so much fun chatting with people that I kept forgetting about my raffle, and now there are those people that I made really good contacts with, and now I can't contact them because I'm a ditz and forgot to get contact info. So make sure you get contact info. A raffle is absolutely essential for that kind of thing. All right, so do get contact info. Don't and this kind of goes along with what I just said. Don't be upset if you don't get upfront sales or bookings, and therefore don't worry about inventory. As I just said, you're not going to get a ton of sales at your booth most of the time. Sometimes you do. I did okay. I just happened to run into a few people that already like them and wanted to get some more. And I was running a little special, so. But most vendor events, they're not big on sales. So if you get the opportunity to do a vendor event and you don't have a lot of inventory, don't worry about it. Seriously, bring whatever you've got, as far as inventory goes, and then just push online sales and get contact information. If you do want to kind of get some inventory for it, maybe try and stock up. Most of the wraps that I sold were designs, so they weren't solids. People don't want solids, at least that I've experienced so far. Because if they're going solid, they might as well get nail polish. So designs, but subtler designs. Ones that are more appealing to the masses, as opposed to like, funky cheetah or, something like that, where not a ton of people want it. So things like Sugar and Spice, things like Kiss Me Ombre, Orchid Ombre, is that retired? I don't remember. Pinks, purples, lighter pastel-y type colors. You're gonna appeal to more people that way, because not everyone is super bold and loud. So get a few of those, and then maybe like a heater, just in case you run into someone that likes them already and just happens to need a heater. You don't need a lot of inventory. Don't put down a ton of inventory on a event, because there's a good chance you're not going to sell it. I mean, unless you do a lot of events and a lot of in-home parties and stuff, and then it's good to have stuff on hand. So anyway, don't worry about upfront sales or inventory. Also, don't worry if no one books a party on the spot. Most people say, the people that I talk to, most of them said, oh, well, I really want to do this. I just have to check with my friends and see when a good time is. Make sure you get their contact info, and then follow up with them. Say, you know, I'm so excited to get to do this party with you. Did you figure out a good date? And then you can go from there. So don't worry if you walk away from the event with no sales or bookings. Just make sure you're walking away with a whole bunch of contacts. Because then it's not a loss. You've got a whole stack of potential there. All right. Let's see, what am I missing? Do follow, I mean, this kind of goes without saying, but you get all those raffle slips, follow up with them. Every one. It's going to be a pain in the butt. I'm going to have like weeks of it to do after this event. I have 60 people I need to follow up with. But if you don't do your follow-up, you're missing the whole point of the event. You need to, follow-up's hard because you're scared to contact, but you know, you don't want to bug people, and it's kind of nerve-wracking. What I am doing, because it just feels more natural to me, it feels less buggy, is I'm saying, hey, I just wanted to contact you and tell you you didn't win in the raffle, bummer, but you know, to ease the blow, I am running a special for everyone who entered. All hostesses get an extra sheet, and all orders that go in before the end of March will get 2 accent sheets. So I just wanted to tell you, it was so good to meet you. I wanted to make sure you knew about my special. You know, I feel like running that little special kind of gives me a reason to contact them, as opposed to like, sorry, you didn't win. End of story. I felt like the special kind of gave me a reason, and it kind of helped, it helped make me a little less nervous. So hopefully I'll get some sales out of it. So do follow up. All right, don't. I learned this one the hard way. Don't display wraps you can't sell. So don't display your well, actually the hostess exclusive wraps might be good to display, just because you can actually say, oh, I'm sorry, you can't have those. But if you host a party, you can have those. I displayed an old style box, and it was my favorite style box. It was one of my absolute favorite style boxes, because I thought people would be like, oh, that's gorgeous, I want a style box. But instead of them saying, I want a style box, they said, I want that style box. And I'm like, I can't get you that style box. So someone asked me if they could buy them, and they were super excited, and they were like, oh my god, I love these so much. And I felt too bad to say no. So I sold my style box wraps, which is technically a big no-no, so don't do it. But I'm suffering personally because they were my favorite. So Jamboree doesn't need to punish me, because I punished myself. Don't display wraps you can't sell. If you have a wrap that you love that you don't want to sell, don't put it on your booth. Yeah, so I learned that one the hard way. Most people, I think, would be smart enough not to do that. That's why it's the idiot's guide. I am an idiot. Alright, so don't display wraps you can't sell. Do create your booth as cheaply as possible. Don't go out and buy a ton of really expensive stuff. Vendor events are a bit of a roll of the dice. You don't know what, as I said, you can't plan. You can't say, oh, I bet I'm going to make $1,000 at this event, when you don't know what the turnout's going to be. You don't know you could be located like in the worst spot ever, behind a palm tree or something, and no one sees you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, set up your display as cheaply as possible. Some of the things I did was I went to Goodwill. I bought any 8x10, 5x7 frames that I could find that weren't like a really weird material, like plastic didn't work, but I got any wood ones, or I think I got one metal one, and I just spray painted the crud out of them. I didn't even treat them with anything, so they may eventually chip, but I'll just touch it up. I spray painted them with a plum Jamberry color spray paint, and they look stellar. They really do, and it was easy, and it was super cheap. None of my frames cost me more than like $2.50. Most of them were less. The other thing is I went for like a month. I went to Goodwill like twice a week and just got anything that looked like it might be helpful. Other things that are good to snag if you see them are things you can use as risers, because you want different heights. So I got at Michael's, I got like a crate for super cheap. They were having their 30% off your whole purchase, including sale items thing. So God, it cost me like a couple bucks for this crate thing, and then I spray painted it white, and it gave me 2 levels because I just put it on its side. The other thing I found at Goodwill was a wooden box with handles on the side, and it had a train decal on it, and I don't know what it used to be. It used to be some sort of kids maybe train carrying thing, but it was just a wooden box. So I did sand that one a little bit because it had that decal on it, and then I spray painted the crud out of that thing, and now it's great for carrying materials, and it gives me a whole lot of height. So things like that. I also found a jewelry stand at Goodwill that worked really well. So whatever you can find, and then just spray paint it. Easy peasy. Do not spend a lot of money on your display. Just don't. So do buy things cheaply. Don't, ooh, this is going to be a long video. Don't have expectations. I kind of already talked about that. Old wraps. Do use host join brochures. They're amazing. You want everyone to leave your booth with something in their hand with your information on it. So just use those host join brochures, which are super cheap. Flip them over to the side with the wraps on it. Show them that your information's at the bottom, and send them on their way. If they see that it says host join, they will say, no, 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 you keep that. So don't even let them see that it's a host join. Just flip it right over to the wraps on the other side. Do be super friendly. If you are super friendly, not even talking about Jamberry, but just ask them about their day and their life and their purchases if you're in some sort of purchasing environment. The weather, whatever. If they think you're a nice person, they are far more likely to give you the time of day. My last thing I wanted to talk... Oh, don't buy expensive pens. People kept saying, oh, look, a purple pen. I love purple pens. And then sticking it in their pocket. Like, what the heck? That's my purple pen. Don't buy those fancy Jamberry pens. Seriously, you're just going to lose them. Last thought, because it's getting really long. Sample station. I had a sample station. Lots of people think you shouldn't do sample stations at vendor events, and I understand why. But if you're at a slower event, where if you take the time to help someone put a sample on, you're not necessarily missing anyone. definitely do a sample station. If you're at a super, super high traffic event, and if you take 5 minutes to put a sample, help someone with a sample, and 100 people come by and you're missing tons of people, don't do a sample station. I think that's what it boils down to. Unless there are multiple people there that can help, so that no one is getting missed. I think that's the trick with sample stations. I think you need them. They're a great asset when it's a smaller event, because you have more personal one-on-one chatting time while you're doing it. But if you're missing 100 people for every one that tries a sample, then it's probably not worth it for you. So that's it. I think that's it. This is a super long video, I'm sorry. But I know this is all stuff I really wish I had heard, and I probably did, I just ignored it, before my event. So this is all the stuff I learned. My last do is do one. Even if you think you're going to be super uncomfortable, even if it's super out of your comfort zone, you don't want to do it at all, do one. Just to get out of your comfort zone. Find a really cheap one and just do it. Because it's a great way to kind of step out from behind the computer. Alright? I hope that helps some people. I'll talk to you guys later. Hopefully this is short enough to actually go on YouTube. I don't want to have to do it again. Alright, bye.